Hello, my name is David Bygel, and welcome to my senior thesis TED Talk. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be an ant? If not, for a moment, I would like you all to picture a crew of engineers building a new hydroelectric dam. In front of this dam remains a small, little anthill. Unfortunately for those ants, as that dam continues to be constructed, eventually that colony will be flooded. Now, go ahead and replace that anthill with a human civilization. Switch out those ants for humans. In that dam, imagine it is being constructed by a team of artificial intelligent machines with different intentions or other priorities. You see, just as we now have the power to dictate the fate of less intelligent beings for our own benefit, so might such computers someday exert the same life or death power over us as well. This is the same analogy that Stephen Hawking used to describe the potential of artificial intelligence if we continue to develop it. So what happens if we continue to develop it? And what happens if we continue to develop it in the military? If it becomes so advanced that to the point that we are interfering with its own goals, do we become that ant? And if we do, how does the human race avoid getting flooded? The question I decided to research for my senior thesis was, what role does advanced artificial intelligence play in the United States military? Many view artificial intelligence as the ability for a computer to think like and perform like a human being. And while they aren't wrong, artificial intelligence can be much more advanced. And actually, depending on how advanced it is, can be considered artificial superintelligence or advanced artificial intelligence. Advanced artificial intelligence is any intellect that vastly outperforms the best human brains in practically every field. This includes scientific creativity, general wisdom, and even social skills. What I was able to find throughout my research shows both positives and negatives to advanced AI in our military. And even though there are multiple positives, the few negatives cause many to become fearful of the future. The main concern with AI is that it allows the ability for autonomous drones, or autonomous weapons, which include drones and other some call them autonomous killing machines. While artificial intelligence can be implemented in the United States in many other ways, it has continued in the direction of autonomous weapons. These autonomous weapons employ artificial intelligence so that they can find, identify, and potentially kill any threat it detects without any human input or interaction. This is a large reason why many around the world are fearful of our future and are scared of autonomous weapons and artificial intelligence. One minor glitch in the system and plenty could go wrong. So why are they in development? Well, it is believed that autonomous weapons and artificial intelligence in our military will not only bring down costs, but also reduce the amount of training needed, while also increasing effectiveness of current weapons and operations. Though with the few semi-autonomous weapons we have experimented with already, seems costs have only risen, and more training was required. And not only that, but costs went up as well. For now, though, we are going to look at what we are doing, where we come from in terms of AI and artificial intelligence or autonomous weapons, and look at where we are currently, and finally we will look at where we are going with these weapons. Originally, the hunt for artificial intelligence in our military began in 1947, as did the Cold War. But because our focus was mainly on nuclear weapons, the idea of an autonomous military was initially pushed to the side. Despite this, the German Navy and eventually the US Navy were still able to develop the acoustic submarine homing torpedo. The acoustic submarine homing torpedo was one of the very first autonomous weapons that used artificial intelligence to find potential threats, and was most likely the one autonomous weapon that drew the most attention. While it was the first autonomous weapon of its kind, we must still fast forward around 50 years until you can see any major improvements to the realm of autonomous weaponry and artificial intelligence. So we arrive at the Iraq War, and specifically Operation Iraqi Freedom. Not only did the United States accomplish their goal of overthrowing the government of Saddam Hussein, but we were also able to deploy the Patriot missile defense system. The Patriot missile defense system was able to accurately find and detect enemy threats coming via air. And it was a breakthrough when looking at safety and protection. Even though it was an initial success, it was, as it engaged 9 enemy missiles within the first month, it soon started to deteriorate, and it ended up killing 2 friendly aircrafts, resulting in multiple casualties. After this, the system was required to be put into standby mode, so that it would need to alert a soldier on the ground before firing a missile. Not only did this eliminate that effectiveness and time saving, though it also needed more soldiers to be able to train and required more soldiers. Before this was a new groundbreaking discovery, so multiple naval ships in the Navy used this technology so that they could protect their naval ships as well. Though we can also look at drones. Much like the Patriot, what eventually became known as the Predator drone was also an initial success. It was a new way to gain intelligence from the air and from very large distances away. These drones, while manned by human pilots at a control center, have been very advanced since the very beginning. In fact, after getting the drone airborne, all pilots needed to do was plug in coordinates and monitor the subsystems that kept it in the air. Some pilots even admitted that the drone, that they would, once they got the drone in the air, that they would listen to music, read books, or even take naps. Though similarly to the Patriot defense missile system, eventually things did go wrong. And when speaking in terms of drones, that is when they started becoming weaponized. They started arriving with missiles, Hellfire missiles. Not only did civilian casualties rise, but so did those original goals start. So this was a brief look at the history of autonomous weapons and artificial intelligence in the military. Let's take a look at what we're using today. So today we are still using drones because they remain to be effective and we really don't have any other options. They are equipped with a camera that can see enemies or detect threats from up to 20,000 meters or 20,000 feet in the air. But as years go on, AI is becoming more advanced and is constantly changing, which is a large part of why it is so hard to define. You see, what we believe to be true about artificial intelligence today may not be the same tomorrow or a few years from now. This is because the rate at which we are developing artificial intelligence is increasing exponentially, and eventually we will arrive at the singularity. This is the point at which humans create an AI smarter than any human brain on the universe, essentially creating advanced artificial intelligence. And this is the point that the world needs to be careful. As you can see, this shows all human intellect as time goes on. And we started researching AI around the 1950s, like 47 I mentioned when the Cold War started. And you can tell that it is moving up much quicker in a shorter time span. Eventually, we will get to here, which is the singularity, and that is when AI becomes smarter than the average human, or best human brains. Because AI is developing much quicker than we anticipated, some scientists believe that around here, this is 2045, is when we'll hit the singularity. And this is when our analogy from earlier becomes reality. Early last year, scientists in their field, including SpaceX and Tesla CEO Elon Musk, Director of Research at Google, Peter Norvig, and Stephen Hawking came together to sign a letter to the United Nations. They called for a ban on AI-powered autonomous weapons, mainly because they are concerned about how they will be used in the future. Elon Musk recently mentioned that AI-powered weapons are the greatest threat we face as a civilization, above even nuclear weapons. So the avoidance of a fully autonomous military is of much concern. Though many of you in the audience may be thinking to yourselves, well, it's only a letter and it's being sent to the United Nations, so is it really likely that something will get done? Well, actually, as of August of last year, the United Nations Review Conference on the Convention of Conventional Weapons had unanimously agreed to start formal discussions on the prohibition of autonomous weapons, and 19 of their member countries have already agreed to ban the killer robots. So the avoidance of a fully autonomous, the avoidance of the fully autonomous weapon is still a possibility. With this in mind, let's take a look at what our future with AI in the military could look like, both the good and the bad. I want you to keep in mind that AI in the military isn't necessarily a bad thing, and it comes down to how it is being used. Drones, for example, before they were weaponized, worked great as they were a new way to capture intelligence that we wouldn't get before. These surveillance drones were a large reason why we were able to find major threats to our country, like Osama bin Laden. Another benefit to artificial intelligence in the military is its ability to help soldiers redesign war plans, and in real time. This means that if we were ever to get into a nuclear conflict, that AI could help our soldiers redesign our war plans so it could be used to so that we could fight in a way that would protect our citizens. There's also the ability for AI to help us develop new and groundbreaking medical advancements, which are not just beneficial to our military, but also to our citizens. As for the cons, the largest ones remain to be autonomous weapons and the potential that we arrive at singularity. When you combine the advanced AI with autonomous weapons, what happens when it has other motives outside of our own? You see, if autonomous weapons continue to be developed, we not only risk our safety, but we are also looking to repeat history as in the arms race. The idea of an artificial intelligent arms race is a legitimate concern and one that is very possible. Like with nuclear weapons, the nuclear weapons have only become larger and more dangerous. Looking at this, it is very possible that our future wars will be fought with advanced intelligence and autonomous weapons. So we must ask ourselves, is it really worth the continued development of AI in the military? Some believe that the ideal outcome would be the prohibition of autonomous weapons that use AI to power them. Others believe that we must stop developing AI so the arrival of singularity gets delayed. As the great Stephen Hawking said, the creation of powerful artificial intelligence will either be the best or the worst thing ever to happen to humanity. Thank you.